All right, welcome everyone to this week's Force Friday session. Let's say hi to the guys by going full screen here. Hello everyone, how's everyone doing?
Hey Mike, you're playing a game now. You're shooting all the ducks in the air.
Exactly,
Again
How are
together.
you?
exactly. It's good to see everyone again. Hope everyone's enjoying their summer. We're winding down here at the end of August. Um, so today we have interesting subject on what are the mistakes that we've seen at drawingforce.com, the most common ones. We broke it down into four different mistakes to share with you guys today. And we're going to talk about how to solve those mistakes as well. So it's not obviously just about like, hey, here's the mistakes we see, but try to help you resolve them also, right? So let's see, I'm gonna start this off today. Let me just move this over here. Okay. So the first thing, before we get started, of course, please subscribe if you are enjoying the videos that we've been creating for you here on this YouTube channel. Hit the bell to get the notifications. As usual, we do have a giveaway. Again, if we break 150 likes today, we do have a different prize. Last time we had Diego do a review, right, a critique for the winner from our audience. So we're trying to break 150, right? So keep track of the likes. If we can get up there, that'd be awesome. I'd be more than happy to give you this other prize and look forward to it. Okay, so what are these mistakes, right? What are the things that we've been seeing students fall into in their drawing, especially at the beginning of their learning how to draw career, right? So I'm gonna ramp this up. The first thing I think to keep in mind is the concept of big to small and small to big. What ends up happening here is, and this isn't just like art students, I think this is just people in general, art or not. It seems like a common human trait is to get mired in detail, right? Is to see the small details of things instead of seeing like the big picture, right? I know this sounds like a silly metaphor, but the one I like using here is, if you're you're going to go food shopping, and you know that you need to get milk, right? It's really easy to go to the supermarket and start looking at all different kinds of other things instead of keeping your eye on the prize, right? The priority was to go in there, get milk, have that at the top of the list, know that's the thing you have to go in and you have to leave with it. And how often do we go and try to do those things and we get all these other things except for the thing that we went to actually go buy in the first place, right? So you want to keep this idea of big to small thinking, or hierarchical thinking, instead of small to big. I found, like I just gave you with that metaphor, it's not just about drawing, it's everything, right? You can literally take this tool of the pyramid and bring it to all different areas of your life. It could be a conversation, it could be a task list, life priorities, right? Just life priorities, right? So not to be too grandiose, but I think it's a really big deal. I can honestly say for myself, it was life-changing, like literally life-changing to try to get into this mindset, okay? So, and someday maybe I'll share more of that in some videos as to how life-changing it was. But today we're just gonna deal with some more common mistakes. So the way that I usually start this conversation is, look, if you were to try and, if I were to say to you, hey, here's a lump of clay, right? So here's a lump of clay. And I said, we're gonna sculpt a head out of this lump of clay, right? You don't want, and what you don't want to do is go, okay, I'm going to have this lump of clay, I'm supposed to create a head, where's the eyeball, right? And start trying to sculpt an eye on this giant lump of clay, right? That's you going in for a small, detailed idea before going for the big idea, right? You want to try to stay as slow as possible at the beginning and massage your way down to the nuances and the details. Another very common metaphor here would be a cake, right? Like the foundation of the cake is what matters. All of that has to be built up for you to get to the top of the cake and finally put all the flourishes on it, right? So same concept here. If you got a lump of clay, the idea is to sculpt a head. You should not go in there trying to sculpt the eye, right? Like you don't want to start with the eye. You can't even really land it well at first, right? So instead, you probably want to do something a little bit more like this, right? and say, here's a lump of clay. I'm going to sculpt a head. You're going to keep deconstructing that lump of clay and massaging it until you have like some major planes. Here's like 4, well, you can see from this view, 3 major planes, right? Top of the head, the side, and the front. And then going through that process, I can finally start nudging my way over to the eye. And even at that point, I probably wouldn't do the eye. I'd probably get the nose because that's still a major form on the face, right? And then I might finally get my way down to the eye and then the details, right? So hopefully this is a clear example of, you want to work from big to medium to small, right? How does this relate to the figure? So this is a lump of clay in a head. How does this relate to the figure? Well, I have to say this is one of, I think, the things I'm most proud of when it comes to teaching force. And that is, to draw a figure, when we're drawing with force, it doesn't take much line and it doesn't take much time, which is actually very, very important. That's a great thing to always remember, is we're all dealing with time, right? So I can draw a full figure in, let's say 30 seconds or 1 minute and get a pose down and understand the whole body, which means if I don't like it, I can change it. I can fix it. I can change the pose. I can change the acting. I'm still trying to comprehend the idea of gravity, right? And how does the gravity work here? And understand, like I said, the whole body, right? That's very different than the image on the right, right? The image on the right, someone might say, well, I want to draw this figure, and they go up, maybe to draw a little of the neck and the head, and then they get all involved, let's say in the pectoralis, and they start drawing the striations of the pectoralis. They start trying to render the pectoralis. I didn't do much rendering there, but it's like you could start throwing tone and light and shadow, and you get caught up in the anatomy, right? That's a very common problem that I see students come in with, especially in mentorship where I get to know the students better. I can't tell you how many of the students that come in that are new come in saying, well, I've already been drawing quite a while. I've been learning from the internet, especially YouTube. And they're like, I've already, learned anatomy and I've been rendering. And then they show me their drawings, and their drawings, as you'll see with what Mattesi is going to cover next, they're sort of insecure, and they're not drawn well. The form's not really that good, right? And yet they're trying to render and they're drawing anatomy. It's like, why are you doing that? That's like trying to draw the eyeball on a lump of clay, right? You want to always, again, no matter what the subject is, you want to try to come in as big as you can and slowly massage your way down to detail. So that's the thing I really want to hammer here in my segment, is big to medium to small thinking, right? So I thought I would, I have one other chart actually I want to share with you guys here. Oh, and before I do that, I have this one comment. It's like, well, why is this so important? And not only big, medium, small thinking is important, but if you tie that concept in with the idea of this next statement, which is that form follows function, right? Which we all know now is like the rule of not only art, right? Like that comes from the concept of art, this statement. But if you think about that across everything, by the way, for me, everything is art. Everything that is created is art. Forget about even nature, but everything man-made is really art, right? Like be aware the chair you're sitting in is somebody designed, the house you're in, the car, the clothing, your forks, knives, and spoons, everything is a piece of art, right? If you think about all of that, that everything is art, and now you look at this rule of form follows function, and you combine that with the concept of, you know what, I'm supposed to think about big to medium to small, then magic happens here, right? Because that means the first big idea you are after is the function of something, right? Understanding what the purpose of that thing is. What is its job, right? What's its job? What is it supposed to do? So, again, if it was a fork, knife, and a spoon, and I had to design these things, it's taken thousands of years, right, for mankind or humankind to create these utensils for eating. You're not going to eat soup with a fork, right? Like there's a reason that the spoon is a cup with a handle attached to it, right? Those things are based off of function, right? So if you can keep your head in the space of, I'm trying to think about big ideas, therefore the first thing I should think about is function. Well, guess what? This is where force comes in, right? Because that's what we teach, right? We teach the concept of, you're trying to understand the function of the body. That's a big idea. You want to stick with the biggest ideas first, right? Which means we're dealing with typically the torso first and then the legs, because the legs are supporting the weight of the torso, and then the arms, which are usually helping balance out the torso, or they might have some other secondary action. And then finally the neck and head as well, right? So hopefully this makes sense. I want you to get a sense of how these things kind of come together. I'm going to close with this one little chart, which I can't remember if we've done in a prior video or not, but it's pretty valuable to this conversation.
There's a question, Mike, in the chat
Yeah, please.
asking about balance.
Yeah,
Do you want me to read it?
yeah.
Do you think finding balance is also something beginners make mistakes with when drawing forest?
Yeah, I would say just beginners in general make the mistake of not getting balance because normally we're not thinking about that. That's a big idea, right? Talking about big ideas to small ideas. If your drawing's not standing, then it's already over. It's unbelievable. That's what I mean by it's over, right? It's unbelievable. It's easy to take for granted that everything is balanced in our world because we do it automatically, right? It's happening automatically. You don't have to think about it anymore, right? As a baby, we all go through that phase of trying to learn how to stand and walk, right? And so everyone's been doing it for a long time now, right? We take it for granted, right? So I'd say yes, like that's a challenge, right? To deal with at the very front end. It's hierarchical, it's a big idea. And that's why on the website, actually, we start with that first. We start with gravity and balance. So I'm going to give you this last chart as my closing statement here. So much of us, including myself, by the way, I was guilty of this also. You go and look out at the world and you look at professional artists, okay? Um, Professional artists, by the way, they're drawing with a lot of the skills and concepts it takes to learn how to draw. They're doing that over here with drawing in their brain. So what shows up on the page is minimal work, right? So an example would be I draw a face and I just draw a face, right? I'm like, here's the face, right? Here's a nose, right? And I just sit in here and doodle this thing out, right? And then you see people do this and think, well, oh, that must be the way to draw, right? It's like, this is how I should draw, right? I should be able to do that. Well, that's not really the truth, okay? You're seeing the end of the magic trick, basically, right? So one of the charts I talk about on the website is at the beginning, right? This represents time, by the way, this line. Here, let's write time here. At the beginning, you should be doing all of your drawing on the piece of paper. So this is force, gravity, shape design, perspective, form, anatomy, right? All this stuff happens. Over time, this could ramp its way down. It doesn't have to, by the way. Stylistically, you might say, I really like showing all the work, right? But it can, and this is what you see from the pros, right? So all of a sudden, their page work is at a minimum, right? And that's because somewhere in here, as you start learning how to draw, all of a sudden the page work goes into your brain, right? And we flip this chart upside down, right? All of a sudden, more of that work is happening in the brain and less is happening on the page, you see? So don't be fooled by looking at artists that do this versus showing you all the work and years it took for them to get there. That's not how you start. You start by doing the work on the page, right? Which is over here. That would be me saying, I'm going to draw this face, but okay, if I'm going to draw the face, I need to know perspective, right? I need to know that it was drawn in this way. And by the way, this box was in my head when I drew this face, right? You can see it's all lined up on its angles. I got the turn with the jaw, which means I have to learn perspective. I would have to learn anatomy, right? It's perspective, anatomy. I got to know where the eye sockets are, where the structure of this face is actually, how it's built. What's the skull going on underneath there? So that's all the hidden stuff that, you don't see when you try to watch a pro, especially pros that draw directly. Like Kim would be a great example, right? Someone who just draws directly. He spent years understanding perspective and bodies and form and all this stuff, right? So it's not like this stuff happens magically. It's like practice and time for you to draw straight from your head what you want the drawing to actually look like and have it show up on a piece of paper, right? So this brings me back to, my topic again today, which is drawing hierarchically, stay back as much as you can. Form follows function, which means you should deal with you should deal with function first, form later. Function is force, balance, gravity, rhythms, understanding the whole body and how the whole thing works. And do all that drawing on the page. Don't worry about getting sloppy with force because you're trying to solve big problems, versus the very common mistake that holds guys back, right? Holds you guys back from learning how to draw is not drawing, right? Meaning I'm going to just try to draw directly, put in the mileage, put in the time, get the drawing on the paper, do the work on the page, because then you can see it, you can change it, and you can fix it, right? If it's in your head, you don't know enough in your head yet to get it right immediately, right? So you got to do the work on the piece of paper, okay? And like I said, to close up again, it's the big work first, right? Understand the gravity, understand the forces, understand the pose. It could be an illustration, and you could say, what's the idea of this illustration? It could be you writing a film. What's the theme of this movie, right? You go like, what am I trying to say here? What's the kind of character I need that's going to try to say the theme of my, that's going to represent the theme of my film? You see, it's always the big picture first, okay? So hopefully this made sense to all of you guys. Hopefully it'll help you. Just try to keep in mind, no matter what endeavor you go into, understand what it's going to be about. What is this thing about, okay? Now, in closing, just to sound like a total hypocrite to everything I just said, we go back to this. It's not to say that someday you shouldn't be thinking small to big. Sure, you can go there. There's times where you want to flip the pyramid upside down and you want to go, I need some small ideas to help understand the bigger idea better. That's very possible. If it was a film, I might know what my whole idea is. Maybe in some area of the film, I need to dig down into the movie to better understand the whole film, but then I want to come out and understand the big thing again and massage my way down, okay? So just be aware, there is big to small and small to big. And in general, for me, I lean on big to small. I flip it upside down every so often to get a deeper understanding of something, right? And then I go back to big to small again, okay? And I do that with my drawing, I do that with my thinking, I do that with my life, with my conversations, my task list, whatever it is, okay? All right, thanks for listening. All right, who's next? Mritunjay is up at bat.
Yeah, hello guys. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Hope everyone out there is doing well.
I'm expecting to say everybody at the same time. Anyways,
Yeah.
so,
How are you doing?
yeah, I'm doing good. I'm just like, I'm gonna do something like this. Okay, guys. Yeah. Okay, here's my PhD. So what I'm gonna cover today is being scratchy with your drawings. I mean, it's all related like to confidence, and we are like really stepping up the game right now. So it's kind of like connected to what Mike says, that it's all with the graph thing that with the time it's gonna come up that your efforts is gonna reduce and your result is gonna increase. Okay, but that doesn't mean that yeah, in the first you should be putting the amount of work, but that doesn't mean that the strokes that you're putting in, the lines that you're putting in should not be like meaningless, okay, when you're putting in. So I mean, what my topic is for today is to sum up really quick that you should be like having confidence and like having not like scratchy lines with your drawing, okay? So yeah, let's go with it. So yeah, what is crawling? Scratchy lines, and you can call it like scratchy lines and like messy lines, or okay, whatever feels best to you. But what is it, and what is the challenge with it? So the thing is, when people, especially beginners, when they like try to draw, okay, and it's kind of like connected to the big ideas first. They try to like get all the details done first, so that you know it looks good, because it's like human nature, as Mike says. So in that intention, they were just like, I have to get it right, I have to get it right. So they just like crawl along, okay? So yeah, I will give you examples here. This is my force brush here. So in the beginning, they were like, yeah, I should like get that eye right. And first of all, they are not giving the focus to all the big ideas. And in detail also, they're just trying to get it so right, okay? So that it feels good. They're like, yeah, eyes like something like this, something like this. And they're like crawling around, like the outline of it, okay? The whatever they are doing it. So for example, they're doing like this, I have to get it right, I have to get it right. That's like the main idea that dominates their mind. But the thing is, we always teach at force that one line, okay, is equals always an idea. Okay, idea. Yeah, here. So one line is one idea. So what this thing is, you know, and it's everywhere. It's not just in force. You will hear artists saying whatever they teach painting or whatever. You always hear them that yeah, you have to like put the minimum amount, okay, and get the best result out of it, so that yeah, it's like kind of very clear. Okay, so instead of doing making an eye like this, I can just make it without like it would be more clear. The best thing is it's very very clear. Okay, it's not that I'm not confident with it. Okay, and the messy lines also shows you, like shows the viewer who is looking at your drawing that the artist is not confident, and he doesn't know what he's doing. So that is, what the crawling is, and like what the message that he gives. Okay, and the challenge with it is that it it's really bad. You're not having confidence with it, and you don't know what you're doing, what you're making. Okay, and it's not clear to the viewer. Look, like imagine the amount of efforts you're putting there. You're like kind of sweating there, that yeah, I have to get it right, I have to get it right, and it's still not like clear to the viewer itself. Okay, so yeah, that is like what the crawling is, and like what the challenge is. Okay, so people they actually draw like this. That's like how I draw the eye. Okay, and if we keep this equation in the mind, that one line is equals to one idea. So now put that equation here, apply that here. Okay, so you see that there are like maybe like 10 lines here, 20 lines here. So there are 20 ideas. There are 20 ideas you're putting into there to represent just one thing. Okay, so that's not good. What you should be doing, you should be pretty confident about it. Yeah, that I can pull it off is just like one long line. And then this is like the beginning of the force. It actually brings us like to our first force Friday here on this channel, that like we talked about all these lines and all those things. But and you can see like how basic it is, but how important it is to fulfill this ideas in your mind. Okay, and you can also say that one idea is like one thought. I'm just like using a synonym here, but maybe it affects your mind more, that yeah, I'm just like putting 20 thoughts in there just to represent my one thing, which is in front of me. Okay, so that is what crawling is, what the challenge is all about. And actually I have um, one drawing here to show you. Okay, so look at this drawing. I mean, just the way I describe it, it's all scratchy, made of scratchy lines here. Okay, look at this area, or whatever you want to look at. So he want to represent this, right? The squash in there. So he's just like putting like so much amount of word there. Okay, and it's still like not bringing the idea clear to the viewer itself, in case this is ours. So yeah, just have like minimum efforts there. Okay, and it doesn't relate to the amount of word that you want to put in. Okay, so yeah, just be clear about it. Let's go to now the value of line. A value of line is kind of the same thing as I told you, that yeah, if one line is equals one idea, then just I'm not saying that count your marks. Okay, that yeah, how many strokes you're putting in, but just be I mean, just be attentive about it. Okay, that yeah, if I'm like putting so many lines, it has to have some meaning there. Okay, it should be doing something for me. It's not like that, I'm doing everything in one stroke. Okay, it's not like I just like I'm doing this and my drawing is clear. Okay, you will see us, drawing like this, like this, like this, drawing it over and over again. But drawing over and over again is a different thing, and it actually represents our ideas. Okay, that yeah, I want to feel that area more and more and more. It's kind of like an enjoyable content to me. Okay, that yeah, if somebody is like pushing their back up like this, I just want to feel that energy. I want to feel that energy moving there. Okay, so that is doing it over and over again intentionally is very very different from doing something like this. Yeah. So you cannot call this drawing over and over again, and yeah, just like I want to feel it, so that's why I'm doing it. Okay, so yeah, this is like very 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 different from these two lines. You can put their versus sign in there. Okay, so again, I have a drawing to show you. So in here again, you see, So this brings us to another idea that, yeah, if I draw like A to B line, okay, so that's what it called, we call it our force line. Okay, so should it make a drawing forceful? No, not. You know, the main thing is your idea should be clear in your mind, and when then you draw it, the line, then, you know, it's called a forceful line. Okay, so you can see like this drawing, it has, okay, this drawing, it has like a lot of A to B lines, A to B lines. But look, that scratchy lines and the force lines actually looks different. Okay, because the idea behind these A to B lines, you know, some you can see it here. That's a really long curve, but that doesn't make a forceful line. Okay, so the idea should be very clear in your mind that what are you drawing of. Okay, so that is like a value of a line. So if you're drawing a forceful line, that doesn't mean that it's a forceful drawing. Okay, your idea should be really, really clear in the back of your mind. Okay, that what you're drawing with. Okay? Yeah. So yeah, that's like the value of a line thing. And that brings us to idea of being like physical with it. Okay. So now we have come to part, you know, where I'm going to show you how it's you know, how it's solved, the problem that you have like with the scratchy lines in your drawings, how to solve this. So the first thing you can do is just be physical with it. I mean, what with the physical, just draw big, you know, try to draw big first of all. Okay, so you don't want to like in the beginning stages, you really don't want to take like a piece of paper like this big, okay, and then just like to draw force in it. Just stay bigger, it will allow your ideas to like come through. Okay, so that is like being physical with your drawing means. Okay, you can do it afterwards, okay, when you just like understand everything, and then it's your choice. Now if you understand everything, now it becomes your choice that, yeah, I have to draw small so I can draw force with it. Yeah, obviously you can, but just in the beginning stages, you know, we would recommend you to draw big, okay, because it allows your idea to come through. And your brain is going to think that, yeah, I have a lot of big space, so I won't mess up with the like running out of paper or something. So I can really like free my mind from that fear. Okay. So yeah, draw big, you know, draw big. And one of the things you can do is just feel it. Just try to feel that force. Okay. So when you're like making the lines, you know, as we have covered in the previous streams, okay, that like a lot of things about confidence and the metaphors, like how, like what kind of metaphors do we use? We use driving, we use skiing. And if you have watched our blind force, like previously blind force stream, we have discussed skating there. Okay, so skating is, it really brings us to the skating the page exercise, that how to like solve these scratchy problems. Okay, so basically it's like just like flowing around the page, okay, and trying to like feel that force, like trying to feel that curves in there. Okay, so if you see like this curve, for example, you know, look at like how it's like dragging up and in that space, right? So yeah, just skating up the page is a really, really good exercise, you know. And I've seen people, you know, when they're doing skating the page exercise, they're just like so messy, you know. It's kind of like, I mean, something like this. So in this, now you really can't identify their path, you know, what I took. Okay, so skating doesn't mean this, but it's more like what I did here. Okay, so you can really like feel the path there, and you can put metaphors in there. Okay, so for example, that you're skating on the frozen pond. Okay, and you can also take the driving metaphor in there or ski metaphor in there, you know, whatever feels best to you. We always recommend students to have think about the experience they actually had in real life. Okay, so that is really, really gonna help them. And most of you maybe like probably driving, you know driving, so you can really like feel this skating out of the patient. Okay, so yeah, being physical with it, and just it's gonna squash that thing that out of there. Okay, so my Instagram. Anyways, so that's like being physical. And there are like some other pointers as well here, like how to solve this spatial. Obviously I discussed the skating here. Okay, and get rid of fear. You know, I always say this, you know, people at drawingforce.com on the site who are here today, they must have known this, that I always say them that drawing is just a drawing. Okay, if it's digital, traditionally, and whatever, drawing is just a drawing. It's not gonna it not be a matter of life and death for you if you mess it up or do it wrong. Okay, so yeah, just do it. Don't get fearful. Just do it. You know, and that's why we recommend very cheap supplies. You know, which is gonna like not you're not gonna feel that you're throwing your money out of the door. Okay, something like this. So get rid of fear. Just do it and try to do it, and don't make scratchy line. Do it with the confidence. Make a mess out there. Okay, be physical. Of course, we discussed this. And yeah, this the fourth thing is it's I've seen like a lot of people do it. You know, don't cause your style. So people like doing wrong things like for over years and years, and it's when they come to the truth, face to face with the truth, that somebody told them, yeah, this is not your style. This is just what you're doing because you can't do the real thing. Okay? So they're like, yeah, this is my style, you know, and something like this. So just a quick tip for you: don't call it your style. Accept the fact that yeah, I cannot I really can't do that. So accept the truth and you're gonna learn it. Okay. So yeah, that's it. And be curious. The last thing is like be curious. So how like be curious? So if you're like looking at something that like the model or something, then you have to be like curious about it. That yeah, like how he's able to do that pose, you know, how he's like balancing such a pose. Or if you see like athletes and sportsmen, and they do a lot of like different stuffs there, right? So if you see a pose there, you're like, you have to be have a sense of awe to the model. Okay, that oh my god, just look at it, you know what he's doing. And that is it could be poetic, it could be energetic, it can be anything that attracts you to the model, that pose itself. Okay, so just be
Yeah, I want
curious.
to jump in there really quick. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
this last bullet point of yours, Matunje. You know,
Mhm.
I try to use, as Matunje is bringing up here, curiosity is a great way out of fear. There's a lot of conversation going on right now in the chat about fear, and a great
Mhm.
way out is just be curious. It's kind of hard to be like scared and curious at the same time. If you're curious, there's like an eagerness going on, and you're usually not even thinking about fear if you're just curious. You know, it's a great mindset to be in. So yeah, thanks for putting that on there.
Yeah. So yeah, these are like some pointers for you. And now, in just to wrap it up, I have like 1 2 minutes, right? So I'm just gonna pull off a little demo, okay, to show you like to sum it up and show you the difference between the two drawings. Okay? And I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be like tough for me, like to draw sketch. So, anyways, so this is the reference here. So the people know who's like drawing scratchy, I'm gonna put the first thought in here, that small to big, they go small to big, and the scratchy lines with it. Okay, so something like this. Mm, I will try my best to draw a scratchy drawing.
It's kind of hard to go back.
Yeah.
Just make believe you're really scared, and that your whole life and your ego depend on this drawing.
I'm trying to.
Think about how terrible you are as an artist, right? Oh my God, look, I suck. Look at how
That's
bad this
Voldemort.
is.
Oh, no, not
Exactly.
anymore.
God, I suck. My friends are better. Look at all these people online. They're so much better than I am. I don't know what I'm doing. How am I ever going to get better? I'll never get a job doing this. This is awful. I don't want to draw anymore. Hopefully, it's helping you.
This looks awesome, Matunje.
Ah,
Too confident. Stop drawing so confidently.
I'm gonna make it terrible.
Yeah. Oh God. Those strokes. Too much confidence. Fear, man. Fear.
I just forget, like I have a like scratchy topic today. Yeah, so something like this, I can like do like really bad.
You cannot
So
draw bad,
anyways,
Matunje.
It's hard.
I cannot
So
draw better than that.
humble, so humble. You almost made me cry.
Exactly.
So anyways, guys, this is like the scratchy drawing, like the best I can do. Now just imagine that if you do something like this, okay, drawing doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't, the matter what it actually matters at this point is you draw like really scratchy lines and you're like focusing on small to big ideas. Just imagine, like, as I said, like be curious about it. So if I look at the model at this model in real life, I'm like, oh my God, just look at the energy she's putting there in her front, like shoulder and the chest area. She's like pressing up her hands like against floor. Okay, so look at the like the force like going there. Okay, so yeah, something like this, you know. And when I'm like curious about it, and I'm not like focusing on, you can see like the details, like the eye, the face, and the hair, the fingernails, or the tattoo on her feet. I don't know, but you know, it's like all just gone. Okay, I'm just like focusing on my main ideas. Okay? So this is it, and you know, I'm just doing it again and again, just like to feel the energy going there. Okay, so doing something like this again and again, that's a different thing. And doing, you know, something like this, if you're like drawing scratchy, you can see in this figure, you know, that's like a really, really different thing. Okay? So yeah, um, I'll make it shorter. And you can see like I will just put my main ideas down really, really quickly using my curiousness. And I would say that, yeah, like the leg is going deep down into the space. So just let me just clear it out using the soft, I mean, just really, really quick lines there. Okay, so then I can just pile up everything like anatomy and details, like even like rendering on top of it when I want to. Okay, first I want to just like get the figure done. Okay, something like this, like yeah. So now you can see like how quickly I just like got the whole idea down on a piece of paper. And this actually has some okay, I'm eating on the time, but I'm really gonna sum it up really quick. So the thing is, I have the composition on paper. I have like all the like basic area that I can like put like pile up everything like as much as I want. Okay, so it has like really like benefits there. Okay, so yeah, guys, be curious about it. Okay, and just draw with it. Again, I would say just like death is not standing behind you like keeping up that weapon, and he's like not
Right.
gonna kill you. Okay, so yeah, just be curious and just make a mess out there. Okay, yeah.
All
So I'm
right.
gonna
That was
hand it
awesome,
over.
Sanjay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hand it over to Maestro Diego now. Okay,
All right. Thank you.
thank you. Stop share.
Well, now it's my time. Thank you, Ritunjay. That was amazing. Mike and Ritunjay did a great talk about those things. Now my time comes and I'm gonna talk about flat drawings. You know, all those things you don't want to know because they sound so mathematical and perspective and all those things that make you believe you need to study to understand how to draw. And yep, you need to study to learn how to draw. So let me change my camera right now and show you this. Let me know if you see something blocking. Yes, the microphone. So let me move this here. And while I was thinking what to say today, I came up with this concept, which I call the unflooding concept, which is like inflating, but it's a word I invented. So it's a new concept. It's the unflooding. So you have something flat and you need to unflood it. Well, let's begin with this simple thing. We have these things that we call shapes. And these shapes, can you see this clear? It's big enough?
Yeah, it looks good. I
Or you,
made it full screen. Yeah, it's good.
okay, awesome. So this we have these shapes that are flat shapes, you know, and these are flat shapes, not flat drawings. These are flat shapes. And if we take a look at this, what they have in common is they are all silhouettes, right? They are silhouettes. They go around the silhouettes, the contour of the shape, so they create flat shapes. But in flat drawings, we're talking about different things. And let's see what can we do. So avoid silhouettes. Don't draw just silhouette because you stay with a flat drawing. That will create a flat drawing. But we have tools to avoid flat drawing. For example, let's take a look at this drawing. You can say that this is a shield, right? It's a flat shape, but it's a shield. But if we start using perspective, yet I won't talk about perspective specifically, but if we think about perspective and we start drawing inside the shape, then we can make it unflatten. That's my word. unflatten. Okay, so let's look at this. If I draw these lines inside, oh, magically this became a volume. You can see this here and this here, the change planes, even if we are in the 2D surface, right? This is 2D, but I'm creating the illusion by drawing inside of the shape, drawing inside this basic shape. I'm starting to see things that pop up, start to go out. Okay, so that could be one tool. Draw inside shapes. Okay, there's another tool that we can call perspective. So this same, let's make it a 2-point perspective quick here. So we know we have the horizon line, we have the 2-point perspective there, the vanishing point. We can go like this, like this, like this, and we all know how to finish like this cube, right? And we have a cube. Okay, if you understand perspective, I think we did already a perspective stream, guys. Do you remember? I don't remember, but perspective is really useful. It's something mathematical, right? It's geometric, and you need to understand certain things. Then you will use that kind of perspective to draw a figure, of course, because it will take you like years to finish a hand, for example. So, but using perspective can help you to unflat your drawings. What other tools we have? Another tool we have is wrapping lines. Take a look. This is a flat shape. This is a circle, right? If we use wrapping lines that are lines that go around that imaginary volume, then we can start feeling that this is kind of sphere, you know? So we're starting here to use another tool that is, this number 2, is wrapping lines. So we have perspective and wrapping lines. Then we have another one. Take a look at this. What is this? This is in front of this, and we're calling this overlap. Okay, overlaps make one shape be in front of another shape. So that creates depth. Okay, this is depth. And take a look, this is just a quick little trick. If we erase or we don't draw this line in the middle, it will look like this thing is merged inside. It's look like we have a ball here and there's another ball back there, right? It's like merged. They're melting one into another. Okay, just by using overlap here, this overlap is the same overlap as this one, but this line does not connect. Okay, so this goes like this and then goes out. Okay, and then we have a volume next to another volume. Okay, and I'm still drawing now here, I'm drawing inside the shape. Take a look, if we draw this same thing, but if we do like this, that feels like nothing, you see, because those line connects and it creates just the silhouette, as we talked before. So you have a flat shape, though a flat drawing. If we just go in a little bit here and a little bit here, it just create a little bit more volume. Okay, so we have perspective, overlaps, wrapping lines, and now one thing that we use in force very much is turning edge, which is drawing. Actually, it's turning edge is drawing inside the shape, but let's call it turning edge here. You come in here, and then this plane changes into this plane, right? You can see this coming this way and then turning into another. This is pretty useful when you want to shade something. We want to give it light or shadow. If we have the light coming from this side, it won't hit this, so you will have this darker, right? And that will create depth and shadows and more volumetric drawing. You don't need to use shadow yet, but you could know that things to be able to shade things. Okay, so we have overlap, perspective, wrapping lines, overlaps without feeling the inner, drawing inside the shapes, and one more thing is surface line. Surface line are kind of wrapping lines, but if we're talking about forces specifically, we use this surface line in the direction of the force. So when you're drawing something, let's say here, you can see here, we have something like this. Let's make a kind of a cylinder, but with some force and direction. You all can see that this is going this way. So look, here I added this, we just talked, is the turning edge right here. And I can start adding these lines on the surface. I can draw wrapping lines, but wrapping lines go perpendicularly to the force direction. Okay, this direction, these wrapping lines are going perpendicularly, so they stop the motion and the force we're driving there, that direction. So we can change this and start going around, but then change the direction to the direction of the force, and that will give another dimension of the drawing. And then we can use all together to create drawings that are more dynamic, not only dynamic, but are more volumetric, has form, with many drawings lacks of. Okay, you need to understand that perspective is your friend. You need to be able to draw a cube. I don't know if you can see that, there's shadow there. You need to be able to draw a cube out of your head, looking it down, up, from below, from above, from this side, from the other side, because you need to see volume in space. And basically that's all I have to say. We can do like 3 hours on each topic, but I think that's a quick overview on the many things we can talk about when we're talking about form and perspective and overlap and wrapping lines and surface lines. And I don't want to forget anyone, but there's a lot of concepts there. So let me read if there's some question there. I just love the different styles you all have, blah, blah, blah. That's Ritunjay. And I totally agree. It's very inspiring. Sure. And there's no question. So I explained it perfectly. Or there's any questions there? Or nobody was paying attention at all?
No, you're good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's any question, I feel free to ask them. I go back slow, but I don't want to take any time from Sunli because Ritunjay eat all our time.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you, Diego.
Now, thank you guys. I hope it was useful, and see you in the next Friday when it's my time.
All right. It's all yours, Mr. Swimley.
Yes, thank you. Great job, guys. So Diego touched a little bit on tangents and overlaps, so I'm going to just go a bit deeper into this concept and show you guys some examples of how to be aware of these two important concepts and what to avoid and what to apply in your drawings. So first of all, tangents and overlap. And for those of you who have the Force Companion book, you would recognize this page out of chapter 2. So tangents occur when two lines meet, like you can see right here. And this creates a sense of flatness, like Diego showed in his examples, because it communicates the idea that both these circles, in this case, are on the same depth. So neither one is in front or behind the other. So it doesn't tell us, it doesn't give us any sense of, spatial dominance. Again, these they are just touching, so it's telling us that both of them are occupy in the same position in space. And on the other hand, we have overlap, which creates a clear sense of depth because it tells us this is in front and this is behind, again, like Diego showed. So it's common in a beginner's drawings to see this. And I mean, this can occur, you know, I mean, I come across this plenty of times when I'm drawing it, almost like, man, I was focusing on drawing this well, and how come this arms lands on exactly the wrong spot, you know? So it's something that is important for us as artists to be aware of and correct whenever it occurs. So in dealing with overlaps, for example, you see at the screen left, you are seeing that these circles, it's very clear which one is in front and which one is behind. You know, the overlaps gives us a clear spatial order. And because the intersections of the overlaps form like this T ladder, this is called the T rule generally. So yeah, this is something that you want to, again, be aware of in your drawing and use to your advantage to show, to create spatial clarity. You want to make it very clear in your drawing what is in front and what is behind. We don't want any ambiguity. Okay, let's look at some examples. So this again is something that I commonly see in beginners drawing. Like, for example, here we have the three shapes, right? And they touch each other at exactly the same point, meaning that, again, this creates a sense of flatness because it doesn't clearly tell us what is in front and what's behind. And here we can see the two solutions to this problem. So the first solution would be to pull the shapes apart and create clear negative shapes in between, or we make the shapes overlap, again, creating these T intersections to make it very clear what's in front and what's behind. And again, this helps organize the visual elements in the drawing and create spatial clarity. Let's look at example number 2. So here again, we have a character, and if you notice, the silhouette is very clear because when I drew the elements, I made sure that either there are clear overlaps or the visual elements are moved far enough apart so that the negative shapes are clear. Again, we used this example in the past, like this is like a puzzle, right? You can see like all the pieces of the puzzle fit nicely into each other, and you want to keep all the pieces very, very clear. Like, for example, if I were to zoom out, even at a very small size, everything is still clear, you know? So this is something that we always want to create visual clarity. You want clarity at all levels, at the gesture, at the story, at the silhouettes, you know, at the shapes. So use overlap to create visual clarity. So you don't end up with objects that touch each other in a way that confuses us as to what is in front and what is behind. Again, either that or just pull them far enough apart so that you have these clear negative shapes in between, which also helps the object read clearly. Now, here we have another example of a character design, and notice all the T intersections again, both at the contour as well on the inside. Again, I went in here and made sure that everything is clear. You know, this is not by accident. You know, there is time and thought that goes into this to really sit down and assess your drawing or assess your design and make sure that everything is clear, you know, and we spoke about at the beginning, don't be afraid of making mistakes. The important part is being able to spot those mistakes and knowing how to fix them, which is what we are showing you guys here. So like with anything, it's about learning the basics, you know, the basic principles we are teaching you here, and developing your skill in applying them. You know, there is no magic or shortcut. It's really about learning the basics, and the more advanced you want to get as an artist, the advanced stuff is just an advanced application of the basics, right? The basics are almost always the important things. They are the foundations, and that's why they call it the fundamentals of drawing. Okay, last example, which also ties into what Diego showed us. Here at the right, I eliminated all the overlaps, so there are no T intersections, neither at the contours nor on the inside. And even though I use some surface lines, again, like Diego just showed, to show some volume, because of the lack of overlaps, the big picture still feels flat. This feels more like an outline of an arm with some lines on the inside, while this one, because of the clear overlaps, it shows, it creates a sense of depth, actually. You know, it tells us what's in front and what's behind. And here's where knowledge of the anatomy comes in handy, because once you understand the shape of the muscles and how they work, where they attach, you know which muscles is on top of which, you know, and in a particular point of view, you know which muscle needs to be on top and which one needs to be behind. All right, are there any questions in the chat?
No, just lots of praise. Everyone's saying how much they love your character design work. And I have to say, excellent, really great presentation, super clear. Every step was really clear. I think I just want to make everyone aware that one big note here today, we've given you a lot of really big tools. They don't mean anything, honestly, unless you go back right after this session and go to your sketchbooks and start drawing and playing around with each one of those tools. Even if it says something as simple as what Swanley drew with the ellipses and how they overlap one another, like just go do that, you know, go do that and recognize how powerful overlap actually is, that you can stack up space purely with shapes and making sure you have these T-section moments. And here on the arms, look how flat the arm is on the right just because of the outlining of it versus the one on the left. You know, anatomy and is something on the human body, and drawing in general is things that are on the inside move to the outside, and things on the outside of the contour move on the inside. So you need those overlaps to create that construction, right? That form. So great job. Super clear.
Thank you. Now, then I give the screen back to you.
All right. Well, I think that's it, right on time. So here, I'll go to our Brady Bunch view here. I hope that you all enjoyed today's Force Friday session. As I was just saying, you know, go do the exercises. I think the biggest problem, which mistake that we didn't call out today, is we're in the world of binge watching and thinking when I watch a video that I understand how to do it, but that's not how it works. You know, drawing is a physical job, right? It's something that you need muscle memory for. You're trying to, you know, get your eyeballs, your brain, and your hand to work together as a system. So if you just watch something, you just watch this video and then you go off and do whatever else you're going to do today, but you don't actually use these skills, they're not going to happen. I can promise you they won't happen, right? Like it actually takes work and effort to sit down and draw, follow along with the video again afterwards, and actually try to bring these tools to your work. You can even take a pre-existing drawing and say, okay, let me redraw this and figure out what the main idea is, right? Which is what I talked about with hierarchy. Then you had Mattesi discuss line today. Make sure you're not drawing with scratching lines. Be confident when you draw the things that you draw, because now you know also what you're trying to get, right? And your thoughts are clear about how you're going to do it. Diego covered a ton of subjects today on structure and perspective. That's like a whole branch in itself, right? But trying to understand that, you got to go learn those skills. And then last but not least, you've got a really sort of quick, simple one here to apply, which is I got to just make sure I understand my overlaps. You may not know your anatomy yet, that's fine. You want to at least understand the simple forms and the perspective stuff that Diego talked about, getting that to overlap, draw with confidence, and think from big ideas to medium ideas to small ideas. But you've got to do it, right? You got to do it. You got to sit and put in the time and the effort and the energy and hopefully the excitement and love of drawing to make this stuff happen, right? So thank you everyone for coming today. Like I said, if you like the video, please hit the like button. We will be back next week again with a new video for you to hopefully improve your drawing skills and hopefully allow you to see the world through more of an artist's eyes, right? And to see more force. So take care, guys. Thank you, Swenley, Diego, and Mritunjay for joining today and helping teach our audience how to draw better. And I will see all of you next Friday. Take care, guys.
Yes,
See
take
you
care.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice weekend.
Bye-bye. Yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.